I think that a good place to start for myself, and I'm learning this as I go, and I try to share this with other people, is to maybe go a little easier on your fellow man. It's not easy being human. It's a journey. It's a tough thing we've got going. And it's easy to be hard on people. And I spent a lot of my ministry. I'm only 41 years old. I gave my heart to Christ at 6. My dad was a pastor and evangelist my whole life, so all I knew was church. But I went into ministry at 15, and I had learned how to preach, hellfire and brimstone, peel the paint off the walls, get people. And I spent far too long doing that. And I was hard on people. I don't know why I was so hard. It's not like I was doing a very good job living this thing out myself, but I think sometimes we tend to be the hardest when we are the worst. And I don't know that I was any good at the Christian walk, but I sure did want to try to clean the world up. And once I realized the love of the Father for me, it became a little easier to go a little easier on other people. And just to relax a little bit. It's not easy being human. In fact, it's so difficult that God became a man so that he could come down and do it for us. We were doing such a poor job. He says, I'm going to have to recreate myself on the earth. Well, rather than reaching down into the dirt and fashioning a new Adam and then wiping the first Adam off the earth, he came down and became a man. And as us went to Calvary, comes out of the tomb, and now we get to live from the grounds of the resurrection. Here's a new man on the earth. And so with that in mind, let's relax on people a little bit. To do that, we need to have self-awareness, and we need to clean up our own identity. Because I think for a long time, the reason I was so hard on other people is I didn't have a whole lot of understanding of who I was, and I didn't have a real acceptance of what the Father thought of me. I think maybe I had a misperception of what the Father thought of me. I was sharing with someone today, I spent far too long in my life viewing God as this spiritual figure who was invisibly chasing me around with a knife. He's going to get me for all the foolish, stupid sins that I'm doing. And I go, well, do we really think of God that way? Well, I don't know. I think we read sometimes the Old Testament, we see God going after people, and we get this perception that God's just notoriously angry at man, and he's out to get him. And I think that God has been chasing me my whole life, but not with a knife. He's been chasing me with his arms open, going, son, I love you. Why are you running from me? Come here. Let me show you how much that I love you and how much that I care for you. So once I could change the way I thought about me and the way I thought about the Father thinking about me, then I could change the way I think about you. Because suddenly I could love you, because I could find you lovable, even if I didn't find you likable. Those are realities, by the way. Right? I mean, I love a lot of people I don't necessarily like. That's part of the human experience. I mean, maybe that's being way too honest. You go, well, you're supposed to act like you like them. Well, I'm not a hypocrite. I've been one in my life, and I'm not going to be one anymore. So it's not about liking everybody. It is about showing them the love of the Father. The reality is I am able to love people better than I have been able to, and I want to be able to love them better than I do now, but I found that I can't love them at all if I don't have an awareness of the love that the Father has for me. What did Jesus say? Here's a new commandment, he said. And man, in a church world that loves to preach the commandments, why does this one get preached so little? A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you. And we get stuck. We preach on love in the church, and all we preach is love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. Nobody preaches the new commandment, which is love people the way I love you. And the reason I think that's hard to preach is because we don't know how loved we are. And you can't love people the way you're loved if you don't know the way you're loved. So if you don't know what the Father thinks of you, what right do you have to tell other people what the Father thinks of them? None. And even if you try, you don't get it right because you don't know what the Father thinks of you. So I do want you to personalize this tonight. Although the message of the gospel is corporate and it's for the whole world, it starts and stops at your doorstep. Relationship is the most essential thing that God came to give us. Yes, corporate means a lot, and the body of Christ is better together than apart. We We are more than just the sum of our parts, but that doesn't take away the fact that you get to be one of His children. So if we can straighten out the identity crisis, and that's what I call it, it is a crisis of identity that is forged in an illusion that we've been separate from God, and we're not. You've never met anyone who is separate from God. You've met people who are mentally have separated themselves from God, but you've never met anyone yet whom God doesn't want to be around. And that's a phenomenal thing. I mean, even Adam fails in the garden, and he eats the fruit, and he hides in the bushes with aprons of fig leaves, and God shows up in the cool of the day for the daily rendezvous with Adam and says, Adam, where are you? Which means that even when you fail, God shows up. It's not God hiding in the bushes, it's us hiding in the bushes, separating ourselves from His love. So if we can fix this crisis, this identity issue, I think goes a long way to, because we all want to help fix the world. Well, how are we going to do that if we can't understand the fix that happens in us?